Coming up on today's episode of the SaaS School podcast.
इस महीने 50,000 का बिजनेस किया है तो अगले महीने 1 लाख का कैसे करें? क्योंकि अगर अगले महीने मुझे 1 लाख का सामान बेचना है तो 1 लाख का सामान रखना भी पड़ेगा, उसके लिए मुझे एडिशनल 50,000 कॉस्ट देगा। वी आर टेलिंग हिम कि नहीं, आप 1 लाख का सामान खरीदिए, पेमेंट बाद में करिए।
Ladies and gentlemen, let's explore how growth, product and customer success work together across SaaS companies. Welcome to the SaaS School podcast. And here's your host, Abhinav Arora. Abhinav, the stage is yours.
Howdy, good folks. Welcome to yet another episode of the SaaS School podcast. Today, I have with me Anubhav from Rupifi. And why I have Anubhav today is not because of the role as a product manager or customer success or marketing. This is to have a different view on the SaaS as an industry. He's serving the kirana tech ecosystem, and kirana tech ecosystem, no one really talks about it because it's not data analytics. It's not as glamorous as anything, but it's a beautiful opportunity, and it's a really big opportunity. Companies like Khatabook have shown it to us. Anubhav, can we have a quick intro first?
Thanks, Abhinav, for having me. Quickly about myself, I've been in financial services for 13 years, so more a risk guy. Because in financial services, it's all about finance, money, exchanging hands. So there is always some element of risk.
Correct.
So that's what I've been doing. After graduating with my management education, I landed in American Express. वहाँ पे मैं commercial risk देख रहा था. Commercial risk is when you have businesses doing some kind of a financial transaction, and then I jumped into consumer risk with Citibank. And in consumer risk, I was mostly looking at credit card risk. That's what I've done for 13 years. 7 साल मैंने corporate में किया with American Express and Citibank. And 6 साल से I've been doing in startups. Most recently, I was with Razorpay. Looking at lending for them. But उससे पहले I was doing my own consumer lending startup जहाँ पे हम personal loans देते थे for salaried individuals. So did that for 3.5 years. That company recently got acquired, and then I started seeing कि next क्या करना है. So B2B looked very interesting, and SMEs, small businesses, मुझे लगा कि हाँ, we should do something for them. It's a very large segment. 60 million SMEs हैं इंडिया में, जिसमें as you were saying, kiranas is a very large part. 45-50 million kirana or small shop owners हैं. So we said that we'll work on SME side, and that's how Rupifi started.
समझाओ मुझे एक बारी. I'm a kid of the internet age. I must have experienced kiranas in my growing years, but beyond a certain point, the shift happened so quick that I probably know more about Flipkart than I know about the neighborhood store. Correct. So how do they function? धंधा कैसे होता है उधर? Problem क्या आती है? What are you really solving?
होता क्या है that a lot of movement of goods जो इंडिया में होता है to your home, the way it comes through multiple chains, and we call it supply chain basically is basically supplying goods to the end last node, right? But you can imagine it like a chain. It comes from the brand. So let's say there is a shampoo जो P&G ने बनाया. Now from P&G it goes to large hubs which you can imagine as distributors, or in some cases there are wholesalers, right, which stock that kind of a product, and then from there it goes to different small cities and towns जहाँ पे आपके retailer है. Retailer can be a kirana store, it could be a general store, supermarket, depending on their size, and then it reaches your doorstep. But अब क्या हुआ है, because there were multiple levels from the brand to you, there have been players like Flipkart and Amazon who have come in and they are saying कि हम middleman हटाएंगे, हम inefficiency remove करेंगे इस process की, and we'll directly deliver to you, right? जो product आपको चाहिए आप बताइए, we'll deliver. Backend में, a lot of people don't know that Flipkarts of the world and Amazons of the world, they also use kirana stores,
Distributors.
So कुछ cases में कुछ brands का Flipkart से direct partnership है. So let's say for example OnePlus mobile phones कि अगर मेरे पास मैं Flipkart पे I'm selling, then I'll have a direct relationship with OnePlus. But I may not have a direct relationship with like 5,000 brands in the country. So Flipkart भी कुछ products या तो आपके nearest किराना store से ही source करके आपके घर पे deliver करता है. They're only providing the delivery service to you. यहाँ से हमने सामान लिया और आपको deliver किया. And in some cases they take it from the distributor. So they are removing the retailer from the chain. And in some cases they directly go to the brand. But you can't take away the kiranas and the last mile retailer from the equation, because they are closest to you.
Okay.
It will be inefficient अगर मैं एक डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर के पास जाऊँ, अपना वेयर हाउस बनाऊँ और देन आपके घर पे डिलीवर करूँ. इट्स मोर एफिशिएंट फॉर मी टू जस्ट फाइंड कि आपको जो प्रोडक्ट चाहिए वो नियरेस्ट कहाँ अवेलेबल है एंड जस्ट गेट इट टू यू. आज इंडिया में ऑनलाइन कॉमर्स पेनिट्रेशन ज़्यादा है, बट स्टिल पीपल वॉक अप टू देयर नियरेस्ट स्टोर.
करेक्ट.
मुझे आज एक आइटम चाहिए, मैं जाके ऐप पे खोल के शायद ऑर्डर नहीं करूँ.
Supermarket is a fun experience.
It's just it's a fun experience for some, but it's the most conventional way of doing for others, right? Just imagine you are living in a small town. A delivery timeline for a Flipkart may be 2 days, but you can just walk into the nearest store, which is 500 meters away, and get that product. So still, I would say there is conventional buying happening, and that's why these businesses are critical to the economy. They employ a large number of people. GDP में अगर हम बात करें तो SMEs, small businesses. SME की definition अभिनव थोड़ी इंडिया में वाइड है. 100 करोड़ टर्नओवर वाले बिजनेस को भी SME कह देते हैं, 5 करोड़ टर्नओवर वाले को भी SME कह देते हैं. But if you look at sub 10 crore businesses, right, that's the true SME. 40% GDP इंडिया का 35 to 40% GDP
अभी तक अभी भी
small businesses से.
Crazy.
Right? That's crazy. And they employ like millions of people. Right? Because हर एक किराना स्टोर में 4 और लोग एम्प्लॉयड
काम करते हैं. करेक्ट.
कोई सामान ला के दे रहा है,
हेल्पर्स वगैरह,
कोई हेल्पर है, कोई छोटू है.
प्रॉब्लम क्या है?
प्रॉब्लम ये है कि अब ये जो किराना स्टोर्स हैं, इनको 2 तरह की प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं. इनफैक्ट एसएमईज में, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, हाउ वी पे देम हैज बीन सॉल्व्ड. राइट, पेमेंट्स की अगर बात करें, मनी
यूपीआई आ गया,
QR कोड लगा दिया है, पेमेंट बहुत ईजी है. बट हाउ दे पे देयर सप्लायर्स इज स्टिल ब्रोकन. मैंने डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर से माल खरीदा, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर ने मुझे इनवॉइस दी, वो इनवॉइस मेरे पास आई, मैंने मैच किया कि सारा प्रोडक्ट आया है या नहीं आया है, टिक किया मैनुअली, उसमें कुछ फॉल्टी निकला, वो रिटर्न किया, नई इनवॉइस मंगाई. राइट, देन इसकी पेमेंट मैंने 10 दिन बाद 20 दिन बाद करी. डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर इज़ वेटिंग फॉर हिज मनी. बीच में एक क्रेडिट साइकिल चाहिए मुझे, क्योंकि मैं दुकान में माल लाऊंगा, उसको बेचूंगा, मुझे थोड़ा टाइम चाहिए. आई नीड अ वर्किंग कैपिटल ड्यूरेशन फॉर माई सेल्फ, ताकि मैं वो पैसा मैनेज कर सकूँ, मेरी लिक्विडिटी. देयर आर मल्टीपल problem areas for the kirana stores. Somebody needs to give them that working capital for them to manage their cash flows. B, the payment process is very broken. It's offline. वहाँ पे UPI नहीं चल रहा है. वहाँ पे ऐसा नहीं है कि HUL ने बोल दिया कि ये रहा मेरा QR कोड, आप पेमेंट कर दो. ऐसा नहीं होता है. So can somebody come and solve B2B payments and उसके ऊपर एक क्रेडिट की लेयर क्या हम ऐड कर सकते हैं, सो दैट जब एक स्मॉल बिजनेस दूसरे स्मॉल बिजनेस से कुछ भी खरीद रहा है या कोई ट्रांजैक्शन कर रहा है, इट्स नॉट an art in terms of how they get credit, and it's not unpredictable. It has to be predictable, it has to be more tech driven, it has to be more codified. So what we do is that कि if you are a small business, if you are a kirana store, आपको माल खरीदना है, you can go to whatever your choice of distributor or marketplace or app, buy it and make payments smoothly. And second, if you need credit, if you need 15-day 30-day credit cycle, so you can get that through a product that we call buy now pay later. माल आज खरीदिए, पेमेंट 15 दिन बाद करिए या 30 दिन बाद करिए, and that is a very sector specific.
So basically आपने unspoken rule को एक नाम दे दिया, that is buy now pay later.
हाँ जी. And buy now pay later in B2B, because we are talking about small business use case, also is very sector specific, and you can understand it by understanding businesses better. So एक किराना स्टोर अगर आज शैम्पू खरीदता है HUL से और दुकान में रखता है 10 bottles of shampoo, he is normally able to sell it in 7 to 14 days, क्योंकि माल रोटेट हो रहा है.
Got it.
That's how customers buy. If a pharmacy, which is a medical store, they buy some medicines, now that cycle could be 30 to 45 days. If there is a fashion outlet, let's say a branded shoes का store है या garment store है, there the rotation of stock happens in, let's say, 45 to 60 days. Right? So what we do is we understand that sector and understand their cash rotation cycle. कि इस particular businessman का cash या stock rotation कितने दिन में होता है, how much of a working capital does he need, उसके हिसाब से we give buy now pay later. And you as a seller don't have to take the risk. So the biggest value that we add is, let's say you were giving this option on your own. So imagine Rupifi is not there. And we are the two businesses who are doing this transaction.
There is risk.
आपने मुझे 15 दिन का पेमेंट पीरियड तो दे दिया, and you deliver the products also. So product भी deliver होगा, payment भी नहीं आया. That's a risk that you are taking, right? We remove that risk from the equation. So what we tell you is, we are going to sit on your app. We are integrating in your platform. Your buyer gets this credit option. So they get the products delivered. They are happy. I'll give you your payment like a payment gateway in T+1 days. So आज transaction हुआ तो first next day I'll give you
आपको payment आ जाएगा.
So your risk is gone, right?
Correct.
You have received your payment. And I will take that risk.
Who really avails your service, the buyer or the seller?
The service is actually availed by the seller because he is removing his risk.
हाँ, but you're brought into play by the buyer.
No, we are brought into play by the seller because उसको ये service चाहिए. But ultimate user of this service is the buyer.
And who do you make money from? The
seller.
Percentage? You make money from the seller.
Correct.
Because he's taking money upfront.
Exactly. So
Got it.
He's getting his money paid upfront. So he doesn't have to borrow now. So
Got
we
it.
are saving him a lot of
So he pays you the fee to mitigate risk.
He pays a fee to mitigate risk, and he pays fee because it drives engagement. So that increases your sales significantly. And it's a very good pitch that you have to your customers that I give you deferred payment option. I give you buy now, pay later option.
Got it. Something very similar is what a lot of folks must have seen in the consumer retail space, Chroma, Reliance Digital, and if you come online, Amazon and whatnot, they're selling washing machines, phones, ACs, whatnot, most expensive good. They're selling all of this in EMI, and as a consumer, you get attracted, EMI pe to abhi zyada pay nahi karna. That's how it increases sales for them.
Correct.
Can you give me some examples in the B2B space? Like, I understand the concept. Who is doing it on ground? What are the stories that you've seen? Which industries are these stories coming from?
Sure. So let me take some actual examples, and some of these are our clients. So fashion ka example lete hain. When you are a retailer, and let's say you are a shoes retailer, so you are stocking shoes from Bata as well, Liberty, from Hush Puppies, and multiple brands. Now when you go and buy from the distributor of the brand, there are always minimum order quantities. कि आपको इतने तो order करने पड़ेंगे. आपको एक pair of shoes नहीं मिलेगा करने के लिए, right? That's too much of a hassle for the brand also. So distributor will tell you that, okay, this product, you want to try this new product, buy 5 of these, 10 of these. Then came a few years back a startup which is now quite big called Find.
FIND.
FYND.
Yeah.
Acquired by Reliance.
Yes.
So Find ने क्या किया कि consumer और B2B side पे they changed this. They have created a platform called Unicate. On Unicate, these small multi-brand footwear stores and fashion stores can go, and there is no minimum order quantity. And most of Find's customers are in tier 3, tier 2 towns. Jharkhand में है, Orissa में है, Maharashtra में है. It's not Delhi, Bangalore and Bombay. So Find पे वो सारे businesses जाते हैं जिनको minimum quantity
चाहिए
का कोई constraint नहीं चाहिए. And they are in a location where typically that distributor will not deliver, or they will charge a delivery fee, or it will only happen, let's say उस distributor का बंदा महीने में एक ही बार आता है उस region में, तो वो उसी time delivery होगी. So with Find you can keep ordering every day. So Find has built a good base, but Find में क्या हो रहा था कि because these are small retailers, so they also have working capital issue. You can't expect them to have.
Explain working capital.
Let's say I'm a small shopkeeper. मैंने नई shop शुरू करी है, right? Day 1 पे मेरे को अपनी shop में 100 pairs of shoes रखने हैं, so that the shop is ready, the stock looks good. कोई आए तो उसे दिखे कि variety है, तो मैं यहाँ से कुछ खरीद सकता हूँ, right? That capital that you need, right, initially or on a running basis is basically your working capital. क्योंकि अगले महीने क्या होगा कि 100 में से आपने 50 शूज सेल कर दिए, बट आपको 50 और खरीदने होंगे बिकॉज यू वांट टू ऑलवेज कीप डूइंग दैट बिजनेस. सो दैट कैपिटल जो आप हर महीने रोटेट कर रहे हो इज योर वर्किंग कैपिटल.
ओके.
एंड यू डोंट हैव टू वांट टू बी आउट ऑफ पॉकेट.
करेक्ट.
राइट, बिकॉज छोटे बिजनेसेस हैं, इतना कैपिटल, इतना पैसा नहीं होता उनके पास. सो व्हाट वी आर सेइंग इज कि फाइंड से लेट्स से आपको नए कुछ प्रोडक्ट्स ऑर्डर करने हैं. You can order on credit. So on Find we provide this buy now pay later option. इससे retailer आएगा, हम उसकी historical history देखते हैं कि उसने Find से हर महीने कितने का सामान खरीदा है. Based on that we give him a credit line. Credit line is mostly like एक limit है, जैसे credit card में कोई limit दी जाती है वैसे कि आप 30,000 तक का सामान क्रेडिट पे या
ले सकते हो
बाय नाउ पे लेटर में
कितने दिन तक पेमेंट साइकिल क्या
30
होगी?
to 45 days.
अच्छा,
अगर
तो आप ले लो अभी 45 डेज में पे कर
45
दो.
days में पे कर दो एंड नो कॉस्ट.
ओके.
सो द इंटरेस्टिंग पार्ट ऑफ दिस मॉडल इज कि मैं एक स्मॉल रिटेलर हूँ. मैं आया, मैंने फाइन से सामान खरीदा और मैं 30 days बाद पे कर रहा हूँ बट नो एक्स्ट्रा मनी. सो मैंने 10,000 का सामान खरीदा, मैं 10,000 पे करूँगा. सो हाउ डज Rupefi मेक मनी? वी चार्ज फाइन फॉर दिस. फाइन का फायदा ये है कि कस्टमर ज्यादा आएंगे, दे विल परचेज मोर बिकॉज नाउ दे डोंट हैव टू वरी अबाउट कि बैंक में कितना पैसा है, मैं उतना ही माल खरीद सकता हूँ. दैट्स नॉट अ कंस्ट्रेंट एनीमोर. सो you can rotate your capital better and it also leads to increase in business. So
Correct.
in fact, India mein there is why do we exist is because of one fact that 35 to 40% of India's GDP comes from these small businesses. But that part of the GDP has not grown. GDP growth agar hum dekh rahe hain, except last year, has mostly been around 8-9%, 7% plus for the country. But if you break it into segments, then SMEs वाला जो growth rate है, that's flat. So that's one use case that we do. Similarly, अभी हमने Walmart, आपने नाम सुना होगा, Walmart और Flipkart wholesale अब इंडिया में एक हो गया है. So Walmart के कैश एंड कैरी स्टोर्स होते हैं जहाँ पे अगर आप किराना शॉप ओनर है, यू कैन गो एंड प्रोक्योर और बाय ऑल योर
kind of like metro malls.
काइंड ऑफ लाइक मेट्रो.
Yeah.
मेट्रो है यूएस में जैसे कैफू होता है वैसे है. सो आप किसी भी डीमार्ट या मेट्रो या वॉलमार्ट स्टोर में जाएंगे, किराना स्टोर वाला वहाँ पे जाएगा और एक साथ
स्टॉक ले आएगा.
100 किलो आटा, 50 किलो राइस, ही विल बाय दैट एट चीप होलसेल प्राइसेस. तो हम वहाँ पे भी सेम सर्विस इनेबल कर रहे हैं कि आप एज अ किराना स्टोर जाइए, you select your products and then you don't have to pay at the counter or you don't have to pay on the app. अगर आप online order कर रहे हैं Walmart की app पे, you can just go buy and we will guarantee that payment to Walmart. So हम Walmart को pay कर देंगे, right? But आपसे payment 15 दिन बाद या 30 दिन बाद ले लेंगे. So that's a very very useful value proposition for the small business.
Correct.
So that's what basically Rupifi does.
And you make your money off Walmart and find not the small business owner.
Not the small business owner. क्योंकि small business owner के लिए तो it's a very difficult.
Correct.
उनका margin इतना नहीं होता.
Right.
Abhinav. So their margin is in very low single digits. Different industries के different margin है, but margins are not that.
Right.
किराना में margin 5 से 7% होता है. फैशन में मार्जिन ज़्यादा हो सकता है 20 से 30%, बट देन उसमें साइकिल भी लंबी है.
राइट.
आपको 90 दिन तक माल रखना पड़ सकता है. सो इफ़ आई एम चार्जिंग यू 2% या 3% फॉर एवरी मंथ, तो देन आपका मार्जिन बहुत कम हो जाएगा. सो व्हाट वी डू इज़ वी अंडरस्टैंड कि ये एक होलसेलर के लिए ज़्यादा अच्छी वैल्यू प्रोपोजिशन है, तो हम वहाँ से वी मेक द मनी.
Now I want to ask you something that's not about your business, something about the mindset when people are starting businesses in SaaS. The Indian American dream is build in India, sell to the US. Whereas what you're doing is something that's focused on the Indian sector, and I would kind of call it, this is kirana tech. It's you're charging someone else, but you're serving the kirana sector. How did you get the conviction to build a scalable venture funded company in this sector when people don't think, I mean, right from Freshworks and everyone, all these guys, they make less than 5-10% of their revenue in India. They validate in India, learn in India, then they sell to Southeast Asia, Dubai, EMEA region, and then they eventually go to US. Why you in India?
जब हम ये बना रहे थे, तो I think we were very clear that this product has global implication, right? If you see growth, consumer internet has grown in the last decade. 2010 to 2020 has been growth of consumer internet.
Fair.
All your cab sharing apps, all your food ordering apps, all your Flipkarts, everything that we do today online as a customer has all been built in the last decade. But what is important for somebody to understand, if you go deeper, for Flipkart to serve a customer, there is a lot of work that happens at the back end. For an Ola to serve a customer, there is a lot of work they do with logistics and with their drivers. That's all infrastructure, which we call it, right? And infrastructure in SaaS basically drives consumer economy. So for businesses to serve consumers, businesses also need to source and work with other businesses. And what we realized is there will be a decade, and this is the decade for B2B and SaaS. When we realized that, what we saw is in India also, now that consumer or retail internet has grown, this is the right time for you to build for businesses. So SaaS companies, while most of them have sold to the US, because in the US and other regions, they realize that infrastructure has to be built along with consumer businesses. In India, you can say that maybe because there are too many people, or because we have a lot of what you call disguised unemployment, where मुझे आज एक काम करना है तो I will deploy 10 people rather than use technology to do it, right? That's what has happened. इसको इस तरह समझ सकते हैं कि Flipkart को हमारे घर पे सामान भिजवाना है, right? अब do they have robots in their warehouse doing all of this, or do they have like 100 people?
Potentially they could have drones. Potentially
they would. In fact, a lot of smart companies today have, but not everybody can afford. Right. So the first step in India has always been you use people to solve for it, and once you scale and once you have enough capital, you build the infrastructure.
Got it.
Countries which are developed and where there is less dearth of capital, they have built infrastructure also from day one. So B2B and SaaS has always been a hot sector outside India, but it has now becoming very, very core to the Indian economy as well, because everybody has realized that things break when you don't have the right infrastructure. In fact, focus for the Indian economy as a whole is on building infrastructure now. We decided that when we talk about payments especially, India has led the world with the growth in consumer payments. All the QR based payments, UPI, the Google Pays and the Phone Pays. You still don't have that kind of adoption outside India in the US for consumer payments. So B2B payments, when we were thinking about that, let's change how businesses transact, we saw that in the US also, 60% of businesses today pay through paper checks. So there is definitely an incentive, and there is always that we have that urge that why don't we also sell outside India, and we can always do that because the demand for a product like Rupifi is quite high outside India as well. But you have tremendous opportunity in the country. So we decided we'll focus on India first, build the infrastructure for Indian companies. And I think there's good learning that happens in India because it's so diverse. You will cater to every single possible use case. So that's the rationale. Nothing other. I mean, we don't have anything against companies who sell outside. I mean, we would probably be making 5 times more money if we were selling the same product to Walmart US rather than Walmart India, right? But I think our fundamental hypothesis is that this is timing wise, this is the best time for you.
और ये समझ भी आता है अभी.
हाँ, अभी सबको समझ आ रहा है. Digital penetration है. Small businesses are adapting to technology. So why not?
चल रहा है, problem क्या है? Awesome. Thanks a lot, Anubhav. This is great. This was a very tangential view on SaaS ecosystem. We usually just talk about, Mixpanel aa gaya, how they're doing analytics, branch aa gaya, how are they doing enterprise sales. But for the very first time, I think I had, someone like you who gave a very different purview on the entire industry where you found a problem and you're just like, yahan pe bhi khel sakte hain, and we're building a software, so it's SaaS.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Cheers.